Nightline, the top stories. Government will not reduce subsidy without looking at the needs of the people. And local rice shortage, enforcement agencies given authority to carry out inspection. Good morning. We begin with this story. The subsidies given by the government to the people throughout the country, including electricity, fuel and food, is expected to exceed 81 billion ringgit this year. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said even though the figure is seen as high, reducing the total subsidy without looking at the needs of the people is not a choice to the government to ensure the people are not burdened, especially by the current cost of living.
Mengurangkan subsidi itu bukan pilihan kerana ia membebankan rakyat berpendapatan rendah. Tetapi mengemukakan satu dasar yang lebih ampuh, yang realistik untuk menyelamatkan ekonomi negara yang disebut subsidi rationalization.
He said this at the closing ceremony of the Islamic Affairs Management Convention in Kota Kinabalu, Sabah on Wednesday night. Anwar added that the rationalization of subsidies being implemented by the government is important in ensuring the people are assisted while the country's economy remains strong. Meanwhile, Rafizi revealed that the government expects savings of at least 4.7 billion to 9.4 billion ringgit a year from its shift to targeted subsidies. According to the economy minister, the plan to move away from a blanket subsidy system could begin as early as the second quarter of next year. In an interview with Bloomberg, Rafizi said that Malaysia's plan to cut subsidies next year is expected to help narrow its budget deficit, giving the government room to avoid resorting to too many taxes. He added that the government was also in the process of developing a system for distributing cash assistance to mitigate the effects of inflation resulting from a reduction in its subsidy allocation, which would benefit about 80% of the country's 8 million households. Malaysia is set to unveil its 2024 budget on October 13th, with the hope that this spending plan will alleviate the strain on the nation's finances, aligning with its ambition to achieve high-income status within this decade. Currently, the country absorbs much of the price of fuel and cooking oil for its population, with a total of 64 billion ringgit allocated by the government for subsidies, aid and incentives this year. The Agriculture and Food Security Ministry has launched a special nationwide operation to inspect and screen local rice supplies at paddy millers, rice wholesalers and rice retailers over the shortage of the item in the market. In line with this, all enforcement agencies have been given authority under Section 6 of the Paddy and Rice Regulatory Act to carry out inspections beginning Wednesday, which will involve 93 millers as well as 130 wholesalers and retailers throughout the country, including at the borders and major ports. In a statement on Wednesday, the ministry said the matter was decided in a coordination meeting of the Special Integrated Task Force on White Rice Operations Enforcement, OP-BPT, chaired by Deputy Agriculture and Food Security Minister Chan Fung Hin on Tuesday. The statement added that the establishment of an integrated operations center at the ministry was also agreed upon during the meeting. The task force also had roped in the Chemistry Department and Malaysian Agricultural Research and Development Institute to act as technical agencies that will perform chemical analysis to test the rice samples taken as evidence in the prosecution process. Besides the Kawal Selia Padi dan Beras KPB regulatory body, the coordination meeting also involved the Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Enforcement authorities, police, customs department and Malaysian Quarantine and Inspection Service Department, MAKIS. The ministry also stressed that action will be taken against any party found to be changing or mixing local rice with imported rice packets or hiding local rice packets. The shortage of local white rice has hit the market for the past few months, forcing the people to buy the more expensive imported rice. This prompted the government to announce several intervention measures to alleviate the people's burden following the price hike of imported rice and the spike in demand for local rice. In the meantime, Datuk Seri Muhammad Sabu said Putrajaya will announce the outcome of its review on chicken and egg subsidies as well as its price control soon. The Agriculture and Food Security Minister said the government would make a decision on the matter in a couple of days.
Ayam dan telur dan kerajaan akan buat keputusan dalam sehari dua ni. Sekarang ayam dan telur sudah keadaan stabil. Harga di bawah shilling. Jadi mungkin kabinet akan buat keputusan sesuatu lah.
Muhammad said this after attending the Malaysia-Japan bilateral meeting at the 45th ASEAN Ministers on Agriculture and Forestry meeting, AMAF, on Wednesday. He said that the recent developments were obtained after presenting the current situation of the raw materials in the cabinet meeting earlier on Wednesday. Previously, the government had initially planned to float prices of chicken and egg from July 1st. It was, however, decided that it would continue giving subsidies and imposing ceiling prices on them. Meanwhile, Muhammad also said that Malaysia will not impose restrictions on fish products from Japan. He said the produce imported from the country, tested for radioactive elements, had turned out negative.
Produk pertanian, perikanan, semuanya yang dites oleh pihak kita negatif. So kita tak ada halangan untuk import perikanan daripada Jepun yang menjadi isu baru-baru inilah. Itu kerana kita disahkan oleh pihak Kementerian Kesihatan. Walau bagaimanapun kita letak sebarang perikanan ikan yang datang daripada Jepun kita letak di level 4. Artinya kita sentiasa cek lah supaya level 4 itu artinya di level yang paling kita ambil perhatian.
It was reported that the Health Ministry had imposed a level 4 inspection for radioactive materials at the country's entrance on high-risk food products imported from Japan. According to the ministry's data gathered between last year until June this year, fish food products and fish products are among the highest products imported from the country, followed by fruits, vegetables, processed food and beverages with a total value of over 880 million ringgit.
This week on Money Matters, the National Industrial Master Plan. What's the growth potential for SMEs? Towards Malaysia's industrial transformation, what strategies can SMEs adopt? The role of partnerships, collaborations and networking. Join us with Chin Chi Siong of the SME Association of Malaysia this Saturday 5 p.m. on TV3 and live HD stream on Tonton.
Malaysia has sent a letter to Indonesia in efforts to resolve the transboundary haze issue that has affected the nation. Natural Resources, Environment and Climate Change Minister Nik Ahmad said a letter has been sent to the country's Environment and Forestry Minister Siti Nurbaya Bakar as a follow-up action on the haze issue. In a statement on Wednesday, Nik Nazmi said the letter was sent following Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim's directive on Tuesday for the minister to coordinate with his ASEAN counterparts to resolve the issue. The follow-up action was in line with the ASEAN Agreement on Transboundary Haze Pollution signed by all ASEAN member states, including Indonesia, in 2002 to reduce haze pollution in the Southeast Asia region. Meanwhile, as of 10 p.m. on Wednesday, only 2 areas recorded unhealthy air pollution index API readings, namely Larkin Johor at 115 and Serian Sarawak at 120, while the air quality in most areas nationwide were in the moderate range. Now, the Selayang Sessions Court has fixed 12 days starting January next year for the trial of Kedah Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Muhammad Sanusi Mat Noor, who is facing 2 sedition charges. Judge Nur Rajah Mat Zin fixed the trial dates between January 18th and February 23rd after the matter was agreed by the prosecution and the defence in the proceedings on Wednesday. Earlier, Deputy Public Prosecutor Datuk Masri Muhammad Daud informed the court that there were amendments to the 2 charges against Sanusi and requested that the charges be read out and tried together since they involved the same incident and witnesses. According to the amended charge sheet, the Perikatan National Election Director faces 2 charges under Section 4, Bracket 1, Bracket B of the Sedition Act, which provides a fine of up to 5,000 ringgit or a jail term not exceeding 3 years or both if found guilty. The Jineri Assemblyman allegedly committed the offences by uttering seditious remarks against royalty during a political talk in Gombak, Selangor on July 11th. Driving alongside lorries can be intimidating for many drivers, especially every time there are reports of accidents. But are the people behind the wheel bad drivers, or does the problem run much deeper? FMT's Natasha Bust finds out.
The smartphone in your hand, the coffee in your mug, the clothes on your back. What do they all have in common? At one point or another, these items would have been transported from a factory to a port or shop by a lorry driver. These skilled drivers are the backbone of every supply chain. But it is hard work and long, grueling hours. Such demanding conditions can be a recipe for disaster. Last month, a trailer crashed into several vehicles in Putrajaya, claiming the lives of 2 motorcyclists. The accident reignited discussions about lorry drivers, including their working conditions and well-being. Data also indicates that in the first half of 2022, there were 19,888 reported accidents involving lorries, marking a 28% increase from the previous year. Road safety consultant Karen Gunting says the lorry industry needs an overhaul.
It does need to be done, from the law to the drivers, to their welfare, to their market. The lorry wage structure is often there's a very small basic, and then it's according to number of trips. So they try and make as many trips and they'll drive as fast as possible. I mean, we've known drivers who've been driving for 17 hours, you know. There's one crash that we did. How long was he driving? 17 hours. No wonder the man crashed. It's humanly not possible to drive for that long.
Lorry drivers tend to get blamed for accidents, but are they the only ones who should be held accountable?
People always finger point at that lorry driver, but that finger point to the employers, the operators who employ them. They not send the lorry for service. They want the driver to run all the time, non-stop. In actual fact, under Employment Act, every 8 hours, every 6 hours, they must change drivers. Employment Department must check on them. JPJ must check on them.
So what do drivers themselves have to say about this? T. Ganesan believes people should not be too quick to point fingers at lorry drivers.
Kadang-kadang kereta pun ada buat salah kan. Jangan tekan driver saja.
But there are also drivers and lorries with issues.
Kadang lori besar dia kena trip lah. Dia orang bawa laju-laju, kena accident lah. Kadang-kadang lori besar dia angin brake kan. Tiba-tiba brake tak boleh fungsi, dia memang accident lah.
Saiful Idwan Adnan says he hopes the public will be a bit more understanding of lorry drivers' challenges.
Sebab dia orang nak salahkan kita tu terpulang lah. Kita tak tahu nak cakap macam mana kan. Sebab dia orang bukan situasi kita dan dia orang tak ada kerja macam kita. Jadi dia orang tak tahu. Kita nak cakap pun dia orang pun takkan fahamnya. Dia orang kena berada situasi kita baru dia orang tahulah macam mana.
Natasha Bust, FMT for Nightline.
More than 20 Indian troops missing after flash floods. News from the Foreign Front when we return. charges in connection with the Siam Paragon shootings has been remanded to a juvenile detention center where he will undergo a psychiatric assessment. The teen, heavily guarded by police with his face covered to protect his identity, appeared on Wednesday in juvenile court, a day after a shooting spree at the Bangkok shopping mall left 2 people dead. The court has denied a request to have the suspect sent to a psychiatric hospital for treatment until he was capable of taking part in his defense, as it had yet to be established whether he had a mental condition. On Tuesday, chaos erupted at the luxury Siam Paragon Mall close to peak hours, with hundreds fleeing as gunshots rang out in what was the latest high-profile gun violence to grip the country in the past 3 years. Following this, Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin on Wednesday vowed preventive measures, saying the government would implement the highest safety measures for the people. Moving on, at least 23 Indian troops were reported missing on Wednesday after a powerful flash flood caused by intense rainfall tore through a valley in the mountainous northeast Sikkim state. A search operation was underway to find the troops, but intermittent rain and thunder showers were hampering the operation in the area. The heavy rains have also affected some army establishments along the valley, with some vehicles submerged in the rising water. Authorities said about 15,000 people living in the vicinity are likely to be affected, and at least 8 major bridges have been washed away along the banks of the Tista River. India's weather department has also warned of landslides and disruption to flights, as heavy rain is predicted in some parts of Sikkim. Now, after leading a successful bipartisan effort to avoid a government shutdown over the weekend, Kevin McCarthy was abruptly removed from his role as U.S. House Speaker, ousted by hard-right members of his own Republican Party. Less than a year after his election, McCarthy on Wednesday, however, said he has no regrets, adding that the vote to remove him reflected a real divide within his party.
In today's world, if you're sitting in Congress and you took a gamble to make sure government was still open, and 8 people can throw you out as Speaker, and the Democrats who said they wanted to keep government open, I think you got a real divide. I think you got a real institutional problem. You'll cover me as much, but
Republicans plan to hold a vote for a new speaker next Wednesday, following a closed-door meeting on October 10th to discuss different candidates after McCarthy confirmed that he would not run for speaker again. The ousting of McCarthy represented the first time in U.S. history that a speaker of the House has been removed from office, marking an ignominious end to a short and fraught tenure for the California Republican. Malaysia to fight for 3 more gold medals. Sports right after this break.
Good morning.
rankings. Malaysia missed out on clinching 3 medals on Wednesday when 3 divers in action failed to notch any medal during the final event. The result saw the national contingent fail to bag any medal on the 11th day of the Games. National diver Kimberly Bong was unable to show her best dive in the women's 3-meter springboard final. She garnered 50.40 points to finish 6th place overall. In the men's event, Bertrand Roddick-Lises and Gelson Jabilin had also missed out on a medal on the final day of the competition. Bertrand, who is the first Malaysian athlete to qualify for the 2024 Paris Olympics, came in 4th after scoring 434.85 points after 6 dives, while Gelson also put a commendable performance in the final, finishing 5th on 403 points. The national contingent, however, is guaranteed 3 medals on Wednesday from the squash event. Mixed doubles squash pair Shafiq Kamal and Aifa Azman beat Abe Singh and Anahat Singh 8-11, 11-2, 11-9 in the semi-final to set a final clash with top seeds Harinder Pal Singh Sandhu and Deepika Pallikal Karthik of India on Thursday. Earlier, 4th seed S. Siva Sangari stunned top seed Satomi Watanabe of Japan 11-8, 11-8, 11-4 to claim a place in the final. Siva Sangari will next face Hong Kong's Chan Sing-yuk in the final. In the men's singles event, Ng In Yao is just a match away from ending a 13-year gold drought for Malaysia. Ian Yao defeated Qatar's Abdullah Al-Tamimi 10-12, 11-7, 11-9, 11-5 to step into the final for the first time. He will take on India's Saurav Ghosal in the final. Turning to football, the AFC Champions League, Neymar scored his first goal since his high-profile move to Saudi Arabia as Al Hilal defeated Iran's Nasaji Mazandaran 3-0 in their Group D clash. Al Hilal got on the scoreboard after Alexander Mitrovic headed the Saudi outfit in front in the 18th minute. Neymar then doubled the lead with a perfectly timed left-foot strike assisted by Nasser Al-Dawsari in the 58th minute before substitute Saleh Al-Shehri sealed the 3-0 win in injury time. With the win, Al Hilal leads the group with 4 points after 2 matches, while Mazandaran stuck in 3rd with 3 points. When we return, shabu worth over 5 million ringgit seized.
Macam mana dari sebuah kotak permainan misteri boleh jadi macam ni?
Thanks for staying with us. The Malayan tiger is under dire threat of extinction. To save this critically endangered species, over 30 photographers have come together to spread awareness of its plight. FMT's Divya Raghu has the story.
The Malayan tiger, our national symbol, is teetering on the brink of extinction. Can photographs be the key to rescuing this critically endangered species? This month, Kuala Lumpur is home to the world's largest tiger photography exhibition. Renowned photographers from all over, including 2 from Malaysia, have come together to showcase stunning images of the Malayan tiger, to shed awareness on its plight and draw attention to the need for conservation efforts. Sadly, the species is now estimated to number fewer than 100 in the wild. Standing before his 1987 film capture in a Jerantut Pahang rainforest, photojournalist S.C. Shager shares his perspective as an aerial photographer.
When it comes to our rainforests, there's not much left. There's not enough for a tiger to survive.
This exhibition supports 2 non-profit organizations, the Habitat Foundation and RIMAU, both dedicated to saving this apex predator. Award-winning wildlife photographer Sanjit Pal Singh has more than 20 years of experience in the Malaysian rainforest, capturing the majestic beast.
Day by day, as I'm in the forest, very often that is, we see less of them. We see signs of less of them, and we hear less of them. So what we're seeing here is an image of a very pensive tiger that's looking for a better future.
Recently, the Pahang government announced that it has gazetted more than 1,340 square kilometers of land for a wildlife reserve, a solid step towards the conservation of the Malayan tiger and other endangered animals. Simon Clinton, the founder of the Save Wild Tigers Conservation Group, explains the crucial role of photographs in raising awareness.
In Malaysia, without radical action, Malayan tigers could be extinct within 10 years. And if that's the case, photos like this are basically all the next generation are ever going to have.
As these photographers raise awareness through their work, it begs the question, so aptly phrased by Clinton, if we can't save the world's most popular species, what hope remains for the rest? Divya Raghu, FMT Lifestyle for Nightline.
In Pulau Pinang, a 34-year-old wireman acting as a drug transporter was arrested by police during a raid in Bandar Kasia, Batu Kawan on Tuesday. State Police Chief Datuk Kau Kok Chin said authorities also seized 157.185 kilograms of shabu worth over 5 million ringgit in the 12:50 p.m. operation. Kau said that police received information about drug distribution activities in the Bandar Kasia area from a public tip-off and intelligence carried out by a team from the Seberang Perai Selatan Narcotics Crime Investigation Division.
MO dia macam itulah. Dia ni membawa daripada utara dan melalui kereta oleh some person letak dekat kawasan yang kita tadi buat ambush tersebut. Kemudian orang yang letak itu dia dismiss, dia hilang. Dia akan call suspek yang kita tangkap tu daripada tempat yang daripada KL saya daripada Kelang ke tuju ke sini untuk memindahkan barang tu ke kereta suspek, iaitu kereta perurua Benja. So MO dia untuk mengelakkan daripada orang mengesan.
He added that a rented Honda HR-V and a Prodoa Beza driven by the suspect were seized in the raid, and upon inspecting the 2 vehicles, police found 6 sacks containing 150 packets of Chinese tea believed to contain shabu. It was also believed that the suspect had delivered the drugs to the Klang Valley several times, earning up to 5,000 ringgit each time he traveled to Pulau Pinang to collect the drugs. The suspect was remanded for a week until October 10th to assist investigations under the Dangerous Drugs Act. Nightline draws to a close this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look at a Syrian artist who transforms tattered old rugs into brightly colored works of art. With that, I'm Sabrina Zainal. Thank you for watching and stay safe.